Welcome to a new episode of Power Players. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. I am pumped for my next guest because I think I've said this in a few prior episodes, I am a wrestling fan. My next guest calls me a lapsed wrestling fan, but I'm still a fan nonetheless. That is AEW CEO Tony Khan. Tony, good to see you,
It's great to see you, man.
I last saw you at Con. We were on the beach. We were talking some wrestling. I can't think of a better moment in my life.
Well, it was one of the best interviews I've ever done, and it was certainly one of the most beautiful sets I've ever seen. And your show, Power Players, sounds like a wrestling show. That's why I love being on with you, Brian.
Well,
and
I'll wait for you to just hit me over the head with a chair or something, which I know you won't do because you were just like a super nice guy.
You've been lifting. You look like you could get in the ring right now, Brian.
You're ridiculous. You know who's been lifting? Was it Billy Gunn? Like, guy, he's over 60. Like, I aspire to be in shape like him. How do these guys do this?
Billy Gunn's got amazing genetics. First of all, in his 60s, he looks incredible. Yeah. He's in great shape. He's still wrestling and he's training wrestlers, including his sons. And Billy Gunn's sons, Austin and Colton, wrestle for me now, as does Billy. And they're part of the Bang Bang Gang. Billy mostly stays behind the scenes as a coach, but he still can get in the ring and do very well. And
I'm glad you mentioned it because I went to the website and I'm like, there's some people in here that look alike. You have other family members wrestling, don't you? What's Sting's son wrestling with you?
We're training Sting's son, Steven, right now. He wrestles before all the shows in what we call the dark match, and I think he's going to be a tremendous wrestler. I'm really, really proud of the work he's doing. And right before we started the interview, we were talking about the fact that Sting retired in AEW. He's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, and the work Sting did in AEW, I still think is some of our greatest stuff.
This has to be amazing. So what people perhaps don't know about you that are watching this program, podcast, listening, whatever it is, you are a hardcore wrestling fan. And you've been a wrestling fan. I think you and I are around the same age. You and I grew up watching A-Team, watching Hulk Hogan on TV. This is like what Knight Rider. This is what we did. And I still kind of do it, but we'll take it offline. It must be amazing to see this next generation of these iconic wrestlers come up in your business.
Absolutely. We have some of the all-time greats in AEW as far as some of the veterans who, like I said, to have a Sting, to have his input, to have Samoa Joe, who I think is one of the greats. Right now, the AEW World Tag Team Champions are Adam Copeland and Christian Cage.
Yes. I won't say their names that I remember, so I get it.
The Rated R Superstar.
There we go. Fair enough.
And I have to say that having some of these great legends in AEW, along with some of the greatest young stars, it's really awesome because when you watch AEW, you see the very best. AEW is where the best wrestle. We do every Wednesday night. It's on TBS and it streams on HBO Max. It's called Wednesday Night Dynamite. It's the longest running primetime pro wrestling show ever on TBS. And you're a wrestling fan. That covers a lot of ground because several wrestling promotions have had shows dating back to 1971 on TBS, and AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite has outlasted them all. Every Wednesday night on TBS and streaming on HBO Max. And then Saturdays, we have a great show we do called AEW Collision. That's on TNT, and that also you can watch on HBO Max. It's been on for years, and that's some of the best hard-hitting wrestling. And we've got the best young wrestlers, but we also have the best veterans and the best competition. There's great rivalries, and really some of the stories that are unfolding are, I think, the best in wrestling right now.
Have you still not missed a taping or an episode? Nothing?
I've been to every AEW show we've done, which is saying a lot because we've done hundreds and hundreds of shows over 7 years.
That is amazing. What drives you? You don't have to be doing this. Like, why are you still why are you so engrossed in this?
I love professional wrestling, and to be able to be the CEO and to be the head of creative of what I believe is the best wrestling promotion in the world, I'm very proud of it. I love sports, and my family works in the NFL and the Premier League, and I love football and I love wrestling, and it's really a blessing to be able to work in those things every day. The difference with wrestling, certainly, there's no off season in wrestling.
Yeah, it's like every day, right?
Yeah.
Are you still doing work? What is it, with the Jaguars?
Yes, sir.
What do you do there?
I'm the chief football strategy officer, so I'm the head of football analytics, and I created the football analytics department at the Jaguars 15 years ago. And I'm the owner and chairman of True Media Networks, which is the #1 sports analytics engineering firm in the world. We do work for 29 out of the 30 Major League Baseball clubs. ESPN is an amazing partner for True Media. And there are thousands of users at ESPN every day who use True Media, which is amazing. That says a lot of how about deep ESPN stats and research is.
How is the analytics game in sports changing? Of course, now we have AI on the scene, but I mean, you literally got this department started, like you just said, 15 years ago. How's it different?
It's completely different. There's so much more data-driven decision making across all sports. Certainly baseball, it's very apparent to anybody who watches baseball how much the presentation of the game has changed, but also if you follow the sport, how the decision making has changed. And I also believe in the NFL, from being there in the meetings and being part of the league for the last 15 years. It's amazing how much the league has progressed in 15 years as far as utilizing data and information. Next Gen Stats is a big NFL platform that's been created in recent years that the league now has data that the fans can look at and use in their fantasy leagues, and they're following the sport and making their predictions. And also for the NFL, for the teams, we have great opportunity to get that data and use it in making decisions, whether it's in free agency or then looking at the best college data to prepare for the NFL draft. Something I'm still very involved in is the undrafted free agency, and that's kind of where I still come in and like
You have AI agents. Like, how are you finding time to do all this stuff? Like you're just on the motion, constantly on the go.
I first of all, I've got wrestling every week, and then throughout the football season, I really get excited when we get into the games, and I can look at the games week to week to week. But there is some downtime for me, like in the NFL right now. This is kind of a slow time because I like to ramp up going into the draft, and then I do a lot of work during the season. But right now, and NFL-wise, it's a slow time, very busy time for the Premier League. Fulham, we just hired a new head coach, which I'm very excited about. And also, we're doing the transfer business, and it's a busy time in the Premier League.
Two things. One, is it hard, with everybody using these advanced analytics, is it hard to spot the undervalued athlete?
It's harder than ever. It definitely is a much more competitive market for certain players where there's a lot more research and a lot more teams know some of the things to look for. There's a lot more readily available data. There are analysts at all 32 NFL teams and all 20 Premier League teams now. So absolutely, there's a lot more research being done. And again, as somebody who studies finance and, that being a topic that this show is largely based in, and looking at finance, the stock market, and things like that, I do think just as there's much more research and many more tools for preparing and making investments, now that there are also a lot more research tools available to prepare for making investments in football.
I think I need to be talking about soccer more. I recently had a conversation with Karen Nortman, really one of the OG investors in the soccer space, and she said the whole thing is blowing up. Now, she wouldn't say that there will be, I guess, the similar valuations on some of the women's soccer teams as the men's or even in other sports. Like, where do you see soccer go in the next decade?
Well, it's fascinating. I think the greatest league in the sport is the English Premier League, and certainly the great competition that's happening right now is the World Cup. Our club is Fulham Football Club. It's London's oldest club. We're really proud of the team, and also several of the players have done very well in this World Cup. We had 6 players across 5 teams in the round of 16, and then going into the quarterfinals, we had 2 players that got knocked out by their teammates' teams. So then we had 4 players for Fulham in the round of 8, and they've done really, really well. And they're including players from Norway, Belgium, and Morocco, which are teams that all went to the quarterfinals. But really going into this season with Fulham, the Premier League, it's so competitive every year, and there's so much excitement, and it's one of the leagues fans around the world follow, just as there are NFL fans that follow this league with 32 teams here in the United States, and there's fans all over the world who like to watch it. The Premier League, people watch it all over the world, and I consider it the jewel of that sport. And we are seeing that there's so much interest in the Premier League. It's become much bigger on TV here in the United States in recent years with the TV deal with NBC and streaming on Peacock. And I think that the popularity of our team, Fulham, and the popularity of the Premier League in general is trending up in the United States in a major way.
Do you even have a second to zoom out for a second and say, wow, this is a hell of a moment to be in sports? We have rising valuations on these soccer teams, or football teams, I should say. We have the Seahawks just sold for $9.6 billion, partially to a veteran tech investor. We have the World Cup rocking and rolling. We got wrestling out there rocking and rolling. Like, what I've seen a period like we're seeing. Oh, another one. I talked to Paul Rabel, his premier lacrosse league just had a big capital raise. Like, this has to be an amazing moment in sports for you.
Yes, it is an amazing time, but I think that's what's great about sports is it's constantly changing, and it's always a great time, isn't it? When has it ever been in our lives? Hasn't it always been great?
And
that's
it's such
what's
a finite
awesome.
group of teams, like a finite assets here too.
Yeah, I mean it's really awesome because that's what makes sports so cool. Like when we were kids, sports was great. You know, we grew up and we had Brett Favre and Michael Jordan and Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And now, just as now working in sports, and I get to work around Trevor Lawrence and Kenny Omega and MJF and top players in the Premier League. And so that's like really, to me, sports, whether it's wrestling, NFL, NBA, these sports all doing very well, all on the cutting edge, but they manage to keep themselves relevant and also to keep fans hooked. You know, I think that's what's awesome about sports and being a sports fan. It's always there for you, and that's why I love wrestling too. It's the only sport that never takes a break.
What was your vision when you founded AEW? What are you, 7 years into this already? What was your vision, and have you achieved that vision?
Absolutely, yes. My vision and dream was to be able to put on wrestling and have it be a lasting thing, bring wrestling back to TBS and TNT, where I grew up watching wrestling. And thankfully, we've been able to do that. We started having Wednesday Night Dynamite in 2019. The show still runs, as I was saying, on TBS every Wednesday. And then we have Collision every Saturday. This is my dream, to be able to keep the show strong. And the show is thriving. Last year, Sports Illustrated voted AEW the best wrestling promotion in the world. Also, a number of major media companies, including Yahoo, ESPN, Sports Illustrated, the New York Post, all awarded AEW the best wrestling event of the year. And these are awards we hadn't won the year before. So to be able to stack up all these awards last year, it showed we're making progress. This year, I feel we're doing even better in 2026. Halfway into the year, our viewership is up double digits. We're trending in a great direction. AEW is doing really well on TV, but also our major pay-per-view events are way up.
Why?
I think that the quality of the wrestling has been very consistent and keeps getting better. The best matchups. People love seeing the great rivalries. We just had our most watched episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite in years for the big beach break show last week with MJF versus Kenny Omega for the World Championship. And now we're heading towards AEW at Wembley Stadium, AEW All In London.
When is that?
That is going to be August 30th. And I'm really excited because the world champion at this, as it stands, it's Kenny Omega is the champion. He won the title last Wednesday. And Will Ospreay is the number one contender. No Englishman has ever won a world title in England. And Will Ospreay's goal is to go to Wembley Stadium, the national stadium in England, and to go to London, to go to the capital and be the first Englishman ever to win the world title in England. And if that matchup holds up, if Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay meet as it stands for the world title, first of all, that's a rubber match because they fought in two incredible matches. It'll be such a huge stage to go to Wembley Stadium and have that dream matchup as the world title fight, with the stakes being what they are. Kenny's been a mentor to Will. They're friends. This has all been unfolding on television for a long time. There's a lot of excitement around AEW. So many of the wrestlers have been delivering at a high level, women and men. And I think the excitement right now is at an all-time high, which is evidenced by the viewership, because last week was our highest viewership in years on TBS. And it was the most since our big blood and guts cage match in 2024.
I remember telling you I love that name. That's a great name, dude.
Well, it's funny because the name actually comes from taking something and twisting it around, because Vince McMahon on an investor call said, we're not like those blood and guts guys. And at that point, I said, we have to use that. They have to use that. That's such a great quote. So Vince actually named it. And so 2024 in July, 2 years, it was the last time the viewership on TBS had been this high. But 2 years ago, we weren't streaming on HBO Max yet. So the viewership now, the true viewership is actually much higher because not only do we have the TBS viewers, but also we have streaming viewership. So in reality, this is the hottest and most viewers we've had in a long time, if ever. And it feels like the excitement around AEW today is at an all-time high.
How is your wrestling different at this point, 7 years in, compared to the competitors?
That's a great question. Well, I say AEW is where the best wrestle, and I really do believe it. I think we have the best roster of wrestlers, and we're very focused on that. We make sure that all of our pay-per-views are action-packed. I try to pack as many great rivalries in as we can. We
do a lot of title fights, too.
We do have a lot of great title fights, and we have a lot of great champions because we have 4 hours of television. And I think when you have 4 hours, 52 weeks a year, you're doing 104 episodes, you want to have great champions, great stakes, and great fights. And so across the women and men, we have a lot of great champions and championships, but believe me, when you look how many people are in my locker room and how many great wrestlers there are, the truth is there are so many of them that are clamoring, that are hungry for championships. The wrestlers would say they want more, but there are a lot of champions and championship fights, and I think that's what makes it exciting. We had 3 great championship fights on the show Saturday. Wednesday's show, Beach Break, was the most watched show in a long time, and I'm very proud of it. It's a show I think people will remember in 20 years from now with the great fights we had. Saturday's show, it may not be a show they talk about 20 years from now, but it was a fantastic show, and there are matches that people will remember for a long time. And I think all of our shows are important, and I wanted to put just as much attention into that one, even though it didn't have necessarily all the hype and ads around it. But every show is important, and just as an example, we had multiple championship fights on each show last week and multiple championship changes. And I think that that's part of what makes it exciting every week to come and see the best wrestlers fighting for high stakes.
You work with a lot of really veteran wrestlers that have been in this business for a long period of time. And it is usually universally viewed as you have all their respect because you were back there with them, busting your ass off, and you have been doing this since day one. And I think there's a good lesson here to be learned to a CEO of a public company. How do you gain the respect of these, in your case, colleagues, employees, however you want to call them? You have seen to have pulled it off.
Well, you have to really know your craft. My dad, for example, knows a million times more than I do about auto parts, but also my dad is a leading expert in that field. He didn't just walk into the business. He rolled up his sleeves. He's an engineer by trade, and he built that business. So when he's in Detroit talking to people in the auto industry, they know he really understands that business very well. And my dad's the kind of person that if you ask him what time it is, he could tell you how to build a watch. And so I think that it started, people understood that I really loved wrestling, but I had never produced a wrestling show firsthand. I actually grew up dreaming of doing this, and Dynamite is a show that I have written in notebooks and emails and message boards since 1995. Since I was 12 years old, I've been doing a show called Dynamite. And then in 2019, we actually brought the name to reality. I got to do a real show called Dynamite, and it's a lot different, just like fantasy football is a lot different than the NFL. Writing a show in your notebook and on message boards with your friends is a lot different than producing a show with human beings. That's for sure. So I was very involved in the ideas from the very beginning and got more and more involved until, we ramped up. And I think people backstage saw that I had a mind for it and had good ideas. And then as we went into our second year, when the pandemic happened, I went from being very hands-on to being the only person backstage, a one-man backstage.
What was that like?
That's the best experience I've ever had. That's the best thing that ever happened to the company. It really leveled the odds for the two wrestling promotions, and so many people around the world, people to this day, talk about the quality of wrestling and say that, wow, when you put it all back like that and put everyone on a level playing field, so many people saw that AEW is the best wrestling. So for me, that was the best experience. And those are probably the shows I'm the proudest of. With a skeleton crew, we were putting on wrestling shows people all over the world still talk about during the pandemic with AEW.
What did you, I mean, your dad has had just an amazing career, has achieved many amazing things. What business lessons did you learn from him? Besides, working hard and staying focused that you have built into AEW?
There's so many aspects of it. First of all, my dad is a very hard person, but he really is a great guy and he has a big heart. And, it swings both ways because he can be a person who could swing a big axe, but he's also a very fair person. And I think that's a good lesson in mindset. I have very different focus areas than he does, which I think is good because we look at different parts of the business. So we can work in some ways as a team, but also it's good because he has so much experience and wisdom that he can share from all walks of life. For me, I'm very focused on wrestling and matchups and rivalries and TV shows. And he has all kinds of strategic ideas that he can bring and that he can teach me so many things still. And his experiences in the NFL, it's really cool because now he's owned the Jaguars for 15 years and I've gotten to see him learn so much about football and become such an expert, much more than he was at the beginning. And it's really great. For an example, I think a lot of the NFL fans can really see that unfold. The hiring and the work he did to put this group together. I think we have such a tremendous group coach with Liam Cohen. And my dad did a great job identifying Liam, interviewing him, and making sure that we got our guy. And Liam does a fantastic job. And I really believe that his experience and the fact that he came here to the United States with almost nothing in his pocket and the opportunity to go to college here, and that he grew up here, he really does embody the American dream.
And now he owns a team and he has like a cool son running like AEW.
Thanks, man.
What's next for AEW? I mean, you have the TV deal. You were saying that the viewership is up double digits, doing good there. What's next for this business? What else is there left to achieve that you haven't achieved yet?
I'm surprised that you have not asked me about the merger. And I will say that the last time I was here, we were sitting on a dock in Cannes, and you asked me about the plan to split the company up and to have global networks and to have the studio and streaming.
I wanted to make sure they watched the whole
And though they're going to see. And so I think we were set up great there because we have a great viewership on TBS and TNT for the global networks, and we have a great partnership, and we've been very successful now. Since the last time I did the interview with you, we launched pay-per-views on HBO Max.
So you're talking about the Paramount Warner Bros.
Yes. Now since our last interview last year, that has come into focus, and a lot changed because Paramount now has come in to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, and I think that's fantastic. I'm so excited about it. And you asked me about the opportunities for AEW, and I think that's a huge opportunity for AEW because we've premiered our pay-per-views on HBO Max, and we have a great audience. And now with Paramount making a deal to acquire HBO Max, for me as a showrunner that's worked at Warner Brothers for over 7 years now, I have to say I'm very excited about it and really welcoming the ownership from Paramount.
Where does the excitement come from? Is it the ability to put on more live programming? Is that where it is?
It's the ability to, first of all, bring in more subscribers. I think HBO Max and Paramount are going to be much stronger and far more competitive together in the streaming space than they are separately. And they both have a great base, but in the world of streaming together, I think it's a much more competitive company. It's not going to be anything resembling a monopoly in streaming because it's a hard fight out there. But together, I think we'll have more viewers with Paramount, and we'll be able to sell pay-per-views into more homes, stream the show into more homes, and we'll have a bigger future. And there's, first of all, the leadership of David Ellison, I think, is going to be huge for the companies to have the Supreme Commander coming in who is the same age as me and you, somebody who's a wrestling fan, somebody who has a vision for it and is already promoting sports and is growing other sports businesses and is, I think, doing a fantastic job with Paramount. Now coming into Warner Brothers, for us, it's perfect timing because we've been now for 7 years on TBS and TNT. last year we launched our pay-per-views on HBO Max and also simulcasting, streaming our TV shows on HBO Max. And this is really exciting for us because with Paramount coming in, we're at an all-time high on our pay-per-views, and our HBO Max pay-per-view business continues to grow. Our Double or Nothing event that we had in May was a massive success, and that's actually the 7-year anniversary of the very first AEW show. And as a live event here in New York at the Louis Armstrong Stadium, we sold every ticket. It was the biggest gate we've ever had for Double or Nothing in all these years, the original AEW show. And as a pay-per-view, it was the biggest one we've done yet on HBO Max. And we've seen continued growth. I think the 3 consecutive pay-per-views all set the record on HBO Max. So it's a great time for Paramount to come in and then add more homes for us when this goes through.
Tony, it was good to see you, man. Thanks for doing this again. I appreciate it. I can't believe it's been a year.
Well, you know what? It's been a year, and we've done now your office in New York, and we've done France, so we'll have to find a great location for next year's interview.
Maybe in a ring. Maybe we just do this in a ring for once.
That's great. Come out to LA. We'll do it in the ring.
I think that's cool. Tony, so good to see you. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's it for the latest episode of Power Players.